triple header. Gordon was resting on the siding. It was a hot day and the express has been heavy. I get so out of breath, but nobody cares. Get the Fat Controller to give you tanks on a bunker, suggested Thomas cheekily. You'll feel a new engine. Tank engines never get out of breath, you know. It was lucky for Thomas that poor Gordon hadn't the energy to reply. At the steamworks, the workmen worked hard on Gordon, but they couldn't make him better. While Gordon was being mended, Rebecca pulled the express. But one morning, just before Gordon was due back, Rebecca had an accident. Sir Topham Hatt had Edward, Percy, and Thomas gather at the yards. Percy didn't want to be with Thomas, because of how Thomas called Percy a trip a few days ago. Due to this, they are not friends anymore. Why do I have to work with Thomas? Isn't there any other spare engine? Sadly not this time. We'll have to work together. I'll never forgive you for calling me a drip, so I won't, so there. If you two just decide to quarrel down here, then the passengers won't get to their destination, and everyone will say that the Northwestern is a bad railway.
Edward is right,
said Sir Topham Hatt.
You three are our only hope.
Today's express was very long, and so Edward coupled to the coaches, Thomas coupled to Edward, and Percy coupled at the very front. Now the only thing they need to do is to wait for the guard. We haven't a guard. Where is he? He isn't normally this late. Then the guard finally came rushing to the station, with a sandwich on his right hand and a flag on the left hand. And so he rang the departure melody and went on the break coach. The express will be departing. Please stand clear of the closing doors. So each engine started one by one. Passengers were glad that there were still engines that could bring them to their destination, but Thomas and Percy were still arguing. Percy had been frowning all the way through the journey. You're pulling me too hard! No, I'm not. You're just thinking that saying words back to me will help you, but it won't. You're pushing. This made Percy even more cross. He made a lot of steam and hissed and pushed at Thomas. Then there was trouble. Percy had run out of water at the top of Gordon's Hill, and so the train had to stop. We can't take you off, Percy, said Thomas's driver. Do the best you can to keep your brakes off. It's not far now. This made things harder for Thomas and Edward, but they struggled gamely on, 2 columns of steam shooting high into the air. I couldn't believe you tried to stop me! And not just me, but the express. I don't want to be mean again, but I thought you were a responsible engine, and yet today you aren't. This made Percy even cross, and when the express was stopping at Kelsdorp Road, he put on the brakes very hard to bump Thomas in front. Percy bumped so hard that Thomas busted his front and broke down. Some passengers had Kelsdorp as their destination and got off, and a few passengers complained that it was a bad railway because of what Percy did to Thomas and would cause them to be stuck on this place not getting to Crovan's gate. Now the only engine active was Edward. Your only hope, Edward. If we give up here, our railway would be in trouble. We need a lot of fuel for that, but to make the journey quick, we need to have another fireman. Then I'll help, said a passenger from the crowd. The passenger's name was Josephine Jopling, and she was the first female business person on Sodor. For the engines, the passengers, and me. So she helped the firemen make fire in Edward's firebox, and so Edward heaved as he pulled the heavy express, and shoved as he shunted Thomas and Percy. It was tough for Edward, but he didn't give up as he started to make speed. We're nearly there, puffed Edward. As he was almost at the station, he was quite worn out, but he didn't stop, and stopped the train right at Crovan's gate. Passengers all cheered when they got off.
Not for Percy, not for Thomas, but for Edward. For continuing on for everyone. And they also started cheering for Thomas and Percy a bit, too. Thomas and Percy were happy.
Percy, I'm sorry I called you a drip. And I'm sorry I caused everyone trouble. Friends? Sure, Thomas.
With this, Thomas and Percy are now back as friends again once more, and never argued ever again. Sir Topham Hatt, who was on the train, told the three engines he was proud of them.
You did very well to get so far, and you three deserve a rest.
So Thomas, Percy, and Edward were uncoupled, and a new engine came to take over the express. As the three engines moved wearily away, Gordon looked at Thomas and smiled. Then he took 3 deep breaths and winked. Thomas didn't need to say anything, because he knew exactly what Gordon meant.